Hello my dear resinist friends, welcome to this channel. In this video I'm just going to tell you 3 different ideas to use all the yellow resin. And the first thing that maybe you already know is that the hardener is what gets yellow with the time. And if you have a new hardener, you can use your old resin without a problem. I have had this resin for 5 years maybe, and that's why it's really yellow. And I would love to tell you that when the hardener start to crystallize or have little crystals inside, it's when the resin won't cure, and of course we can't use that hardener anymore because it won't work. But as long as it is yellow, you can use it like forever, and it depends on your resin. So what I'm doing here is give you the first idea, and it's pretty simple because we only need to use mica powder or metallic pigment to cover the mold and pour the resin. But I will suggest you to use black or brown or blue to taint the resin, because it turns out that when you use resin, when it starts to get yellow, will be yellow faster even when it's cured. So it won't be useful for you if you use pink or a really thin color, because you will look at the yellow thing in a few months or weeks. So that's my suggestion. So obviously if we cover the yellow thing, the resin will be useful for us. Then I regularly do small pieces because I don't want to risk the quality of my work. So I suggest you to use small pieces to, embellish your other pieces with the good resin. But still, if it's not too old, you can do big things with this. In case that you didn't understand what I said before, I said embellishment. And here's the idea number 2, and my favorite one, because I really love to experiment with different things and materials. And in this moment I'm using fabrics and this pigment for fabrics, and I want to know how reacts the fabrics. It's complicated for me to say it. Anyway, in this moment I really want to see if the color change, if the pigment looks good with the resin in the fabrics. And it's, of course, you can experiment whatever you want. You can encapsulate a flower, or you can encapsulate something that you have doubts if it will work eventually. So I suggest you to do your experiments with this. And these are the questions that I ask myself when I do experiments. If I apply a little bit of resin, lose the relief, or change, or lose the color. If the pigment remains and it's shiny, or lose the color, or lose the brightness. And of course, there is a ton of questions that you can do when you experiment. And the good thing about this is that you can answer that questions and know it's spending in so much money, because that resin already was unuseful. I will use this little blue with a little bit of resin to do bookmarks, and in this white fabric I just note that the color won't change in the fabric if I apply a little bit of this pigment, and still it's bright. And this is why I do experiments, because I want to know what kind of things can be useful for you. And this is an example. And the third and the most common idea as a base. Of course, in this moment we want to avoid the yellow thing, and I will use black, blue, purple again, or brown. But the plus is when we apply some pigments over this resin, because we can still have beautiful effects even if we use this kind of resin as a base. The only thing that we have to be aware of when we use this kind of technique is that when we put a dooming in our piece, it has to be the same brand of resin because it can detach and we don't want problems later. But it's not a rule, but it can happen. Now I will just apply a little bit of this pigment powder and a little bit of dots. And please, if you find something useful in this video, leave a like or a comment. And I really appreciate if you share this material and subscribe. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really hope this video will be useful for you and you don't waste your resin anymore. See you next time. Bye bye.